Mm, 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 mm. I'll be forever blue. That you give me no reason. AOA podcast. Oh my God. Coming to you live from a smelly corner of the internet. It's your old pal Ant here on the podcast of record. Let's see what kind of crazy we had happen today. Plenty, as the president of the United States pulls a complete 180 on the Epstein files. Is he a good guy? Or is there another trick up his sleeve? Epstein, we know, is not a good guy. Controlled a House Democrat during a hearing. Did everybody get that right? Jeffrey Epstein texted with and controlled a House Democrat during a House committee meeting. This is alarming and really explains a lot. Eddie Murphy was propositioned by an old Hollywood star on his 21st birthday. He revealed this during his Netflix documentary, which is out on Netflix now. Also on the same internets as we are broadcasting this show from. There's no standard anymore. It's just Eddie Murphy talking about an amazing story. One thing, us making bad cuck jokes. I mean, the whole thing. And look, Miss Justice she already got it out before I could get one out. She's already there, which is amazing. It's amazing. You guys are the absolute best. Marjorie Taylor Greene apologizes live on CNN, the Problem Solver Caucus. I want to share that with everybody. We've got some tariff dividend checks coming our way, possibly. And Moana 2, the trailer came our way earlier today. My friends, roll that all up in a burrito and you have a podcast Rito. I'm sorry. Podcast Rito. I don't think that's the first time I've done that either, too. I've tried to, because I always go for and I don't want to do that because that algorithm, not good. That's also, by the way, if you notice, we don't use the T word when we describe Prez. We've learned that the hard way. That T word doesn't get spread out as much as the other words do when talking about that person. So that's pretty interesting. So great to see everybody in the live chat. Live chat is where it's at. If you're going to watch the show live, hey, Merck, hey, Christella. It is so nice to be here with everybody. Robin's already got Seinfeld lines going. Ms. Justice already has Cuckstein file jokes going. It's Monday, baby, and we're off and running. Love it. I love it. All right, here's what's interesting that happened over the weekend. President turns a 180 on the Epstein files. So supposedly, and I didn't see this, it could be true, but perhaps I just missed it. Donald Trump said on Air Force One on Friday that they can just release the Epstein files. I think he kind of said it matter-of-factly from what I remember, but it doesn't really make a difference because he went on to Truth Social on Sunday and he put out there that the Republicans have nothing to hide and the Republicans should all vote for the Epstein file release. Okay, let's recap. He called it a hoax. Nope, sorry, let's go back further. He said he would release it, campaigned on it, got into office, had his lackeys say they were going to release it, right? Remember the binders and everything? Then we got all the review of the prison cell footage, and then Bongino and Kash Patel say there's nothing here. Then Kash Patel goes and he testifies in front of Congress, says there's nothing more here. Then all of a sudden, the president calls it a Democratic hoax. Now the Democrats want the information released, and they have to basically petition, get 218 signatures on a petition just to get Mike Johnson to bring it to the floor because he absolutely refused because he was playing along with the president of the United States. We have a government shutdown. The 218th signature takes forever to get there. Now that the shutdown is over, suddenly it's okay to release this information. Does this sound fishy to anybody else, or is it just me? It could be me. I have a lot of problems. It could be me. You know, it's awfully suspicious. And that's not even the most suspicious part, because amidst all of this craziness, the president of the United States directs the Attorney General of the United States of America to open up an investigation on Jeffrey Epstein involving prominent Democrats. Oddly timed. I remember seeing that on Friday going, that's weird. Why is that there? How'd he go from this is all a hoax to this needs to be investigated? Is it only a hoax against him, or does it need to be investigated? We're already putting aside the fact that was the government shutdown and delay, was all this time, not that that was a thing, but was that time wisely used to hide whatever it was that the president of the United States doesn't want out regarding his or other people's relationships with Jeffrey Epstein? Because again, this isn't TDS. I'm not Trump derangement syndrome guy. I don't know if he did anything with underage girls. It doesn't feel like he did anything with underage girls. It feels like he was inappropriate with women, but underage doesn't seem like his thing. But it feels like he's protecting somebody or someone or something or some organization, country, you name it, skull and crossbones. The guy, I don't even know what caused the first 180. I don't know. I have no idea. But we're putting aside that for a second, and we're going with now he opens up he asked the Pam Bondi to open up an investigation. A lot of people say why. A lot of people making this point, this doesn't come from me, that if this does get voted on and it does go to the Senate and they pass it, and then it becomes a bill that lands on the president's desks, he can A, sign it right then and there, and the files will come out. B, he can veto it. Then it would go back to Congress to get, they need X amount of votes to go, rise above his veto for it to go out, which is possible. And then the files would go out. Unless you have an ongoing investigation happening, in which case you couldn't release more information because you wouldn't want to damage the ongoing investigation. That certainly makes a lot of sense. Not that I want to blame people or point fingers or anything like that, but I don't understand how you call something a hoax. You say everybody should be getting over it and stop talking about it. And then you say, well, actually, it should be investigated. I don't know how all that happens within a 6-week time period without any new information coming to light whatsoever. It doesn't make any sense unless you're looking for a way out. Also, another thing to note, in everything I've seen, in 2 different places, I've seen it written like this. Every bit of information that we can legally release, we will release as far as the Epstein files go. And then I've also seen every bit of information that is unclassified. Epstein files are classified now? Is that what's happening? I know there was some judgments about grand jury testimony being released and that being a little bit of an issue. But again, I implore everybody, and I don't hear anybody talking about this, from CNN to Fox News to Newsmax to MSNBC to the keyboard cowboys out there and the other bloggers and podcasters and YouTubers. Nobody seems to be bringing up the fact that there are hours and hours and hours of footage from his Florida and New York residences of people coming and going in and out of parties, massage rooms, and everything else that the FBI seized at one point, and nobody is demanding this information. Like, forget everybody says files. Yes, files, but in those files, I'm expecting the video. The video is what I want to see. The video shouldn't lie to us. The video should show everybody who went in and out of there. The video, by the way, if I could just make a point, and this is all backed up in our YouTube playlist, which you could find at anthonyonair.com. Go to anthonyonair.com, click on the YouTube playlist, click on Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein. There's hundreds of videos there. We covered the FBI seizing all of these videotapes, misplacing them for a little while, and then them mysteriously turning back up at FBI headquarters. So that's a little suspect. But again, beggars can't be choosers. We got to go with what we got to go with. We've got to sure, whatever power that be, probably had somebody go in there, take the tapes, take out their involvement, and put all the tapes that they didn't care about back in the. Okay, fine, but we got it. That's it. That's all we have. We blew it. But all of that stuff is somewhere. So for everybody who has been blowing up my comment section going, this isn't proof, or there's no fault, this has already come out in testimony, in different, we've already seen this. There's plenty there. Believe me when I tell you, there is sitting on plenty of information that we have never seen. And all of this to protect the worst pedo known to man. And then here's the other thing. Where's the ring? Where's all the people? I've never seen so many people defend Jeffrey Epstein because of Donald Trump than I have seen over the last 3 days. The comment sections have gotten crazy. They're all buying into President Trump's storyline. And I don't know how you can, by the way, not all, some, because this is another part of this. The president doesn't do this unless he feels his supporters slipping from his grips. And that's something that we really need to talk about, because I'll tell you something else I saw over the weekend that not a lot of people are talking about. I saw influencer after influencer. I saw regular old Republicans. I saw tons of MAGA people take off MAGA hats and put on America First hats. Marjorie Taylor Greene, who we'll talk about in a second, who I can buy actually into this Trump storyline here, that she's been on a revenge tour against him because she wanted to run for governor and he said no. Right? That's the Trump storyline right now. Trump says Marjorie Taylor Greene, this is on, you can go to we did a whole piece on this on Saturday. We did a surprise pop-up thing because Marjorie Taylor Greene and Trump were going at it on Saturday. And he basically said flat out on Saturday, she asked me to run for governor and I told her no. And now she's been trying to get back at him. Well, she's been the person that's throwing out these two new words that is really putting a divide into MAGA. There's a couple things dividing MAGA right now. And it's Trump's 180, Trump calling the Epstein files a hoax. It's the Charlie Kirk assassination. And it's overall, which has been brewing for a while, this idea that Benjamin Netanyahu and Israel have done things that are not so great against the Palestinians in Gaza. Okay. Which, again, I have to say this every time, that whole little thing is just a ball full of knots. And I don't like getting involved in it, because no matter what side you take, you can point to another side that points to the original side you took as being wrong. Okay. And I think that, wouldn't it be nice to have peace over there? Wouldn't it be nice to have a nice Jewish state of Israel, let the Palestinians live somewhere, and everybody gets along just great? That's how 99% of Americans and people really feel, right? You got to get the terrorist organizations out of there. You got to get Netanyahu and his little overreach. That's got to get figured out. And Jewish people deserve their own country, and wonderful. And Palestinians should be able to live, and the two of them should have to live, figure it out, be together, make it work, right? But those things, there's this new thing because of what Tucker and Candace are doing with the Charlie Kirk thing, and they've also found this little thing of like, oh, if we stoke the flames of the anti-Semites in this world, we'll get a little play, we'll get a little higher platform. And that's exactly what Tucker Carlson is doing. I don't give a shit what you tell me, because there's no reason to have Nick Fuentes on the air. There's no reason to come even remotely close to defending that. Of course, he's got free speech. Everybody's got free speech in this country. We all know that. But we have a brain not to put a piece of shit on our airwaves. You know what I'm saying? Nick Fuentes can come on this show, and I'm gonna take him to task for every last thing. That's the only way I do it. I don't sit here and go, you seem like a nice guy. Are you misunderstood, Nick Fuentes? Get the fuck. I have kids. I want to stick my head out in the world. I want to be respected. I want to be admired for the work, not be putting myself next to a Nick Fuentes. So Tucker Carlson is dumpster diving, which is beyond me, because again, the guy's got more money in the bank than I know what to do with, but he's hooked on the attention is what the problem is. And the same goes for Candace Owens. She's dipping her toe into that water too a little bit, but she's more obsessed. And I honestly think, I was trying to figure out Candace Owens the other day. I honestly think she's just so devastated over her loss of her friend that she's just handling it poorly and doesn't really seem to care about her friend's wife in all of this. But the latest thing I saw for her, and I didn't watch her podcast because it comes out just before ours, and I need a little time after I go through one of her shows to, wash the crazy off of me. And I didn't have that time before we had to go to air, so I didn't catch it. But she basically put out a teaser tweet today that's like, "Oh, we've turning points behind it, and things are never gonna be the same." And so we'll find out what that is on Wednesday. You don't have to go listen to. I mean, you can if you want, but you come back here Wednesday, and we'll fucking Mercury. I love those of you who have been here from day one. You know how to make me laugh. You really know how to put the one line that new people won't get, but that we can laugh about. That was really good. That's going to be nominated for comment of the episode right there. I like Rock's being here. There's definitely some mixed up right wing folks right now. Well, there's a split right now. There's a split going on. So those three things: Charlie Kirk, Israel, Epstein files. Those are the three things right now that are fueling and driving this split. The fourth thing that's underlying all of this is it's been 10 months and things haven't gotten any better. Right? He gets inaugurated in January. It's November. Not that any level-headed person would have known that any president can't make an impact in just 10 months. But when a president comes in swearing and promising that there's going to be so much winning, you're going to get tired of winning and it's going to happen right away and day one and all this stuff, people get jazzed up. And now people are starting to feel that letdown. And it's happening. And it started with the Epstein thing. When he called it a hoax, that was, if this is the chart where Doc Brown is explaining to Marty the alternate 1985 when the split happens, it's the day that he says the Epstein file thing is a hoax. Okay, so those are all occurring. Marjorie Taylor Greene, along with some other very smart people, start talking about, well, it's no longer make America great again. Because when you're putting, and this is where the Israel people come in, where you're putting Israel first before America, that's not making America great, right? What did she say the other day? Make Israel great? MEGA. Okay, so that's one thing. And then other people start talking about the same thing. Well, hold on a second. Now, all of a sudden, we're giving this guy down in South America $40 billion in a money exchange deal just because he's kind of like Trump and all this and that. That doesn't make sense. That's not what you campaigned on, right? And then you campaigned on transparency. And now you're telling us this thing is a hoax. So all of these things start to add up. And what Marjorie Taylor Greene said was going back to, we got to put America first, which was sort of the main philosophy behind MAGA. And then it started gaining steam. Then all of a sudden I'm seeing hats. I'm seeing America First hats. Have you guys seen America Live Chat or Replay Crew? Comment below if you've seen an America First hat over the last couple of days. Because I know not all, but a lot of the Republican friends that I have online, a lot of the chatter that I see, like in my own little Facebook world, plus what I see on Twitter, and a lot of people saying America First and not MAGA. And that began with, oh, that's interesting. People are saying America First, America, because I've heard America First, but then all of a sudden, once it gets put on a hat, once it gets put on a sticker or a t-shirt, then it becomes a movement. Everybody said, make America great again. Everybody. Barack Obama, Bill Clinton. I remember when people got first upset. That was the first time we saw Trump derangement syndrome, when people were upset that he used to say, make America great again. Do you remember this? If you go back and look at those first couple days, first election, pre him and versus Hillary, he said, make America. Everybody got so what? America's not great. America's literally. And then they put a supercut together of every person running for the presidency saying, we're going to make America great again. But it's just interesting. That's how MAGA started. And now we're seeing this America First thing, and prominent. I'm talking about prominent political influencers, because it's so strange now. Influencers used to be, or political people used to be like stuffy old white guys and polyester jackets and stuff like that, and like buttoned up women and like with perfect hairdos and, like prim and proper. And now like a 22-year-old girl who at first look you assume is a food influencer or a fashion influencer is suddenly up there slinging political views. Do you? Great. But it's weird to see those people now turning on him. Not to mention all the people who really weren't Republican, but were so sick of the Democrats, didn't want to get Kamala shoved down their throats. So they voted for him because they figured that's better than, the water we're treading right now. A lot of those people voted for the president in the last election. And they weren't loyal to party or him to begin with, but they were like, well, that's better than the other thing. All those people, forget about it. They are long gone. They are long gone. And economy and affordability has a lot to do with that. A lot to do with it. But he's lost his base. For the first time ever, we've seen this man lose his base. That old story of he can go on Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody and still win elections. We're finding out that that's not true anymore. And we're seeing it. And he pulls this 180 because he's like, hold on. It's like when a leader is running and then he turns around and sees that nobody's following him. And then he comes back to where they are. That's exactly what we saw him do over the weekend. Because why does it go from a hoax to release it? We have nothing to hide. But then what were you hiding this whole time? Then why wouldn't you just put it out? By the way, you can make an argument that he doesn't even need Congress or anybody else to do this. He could just do it himself. I mean, executive order gives you a lot of power. And one can easily make an argument, executive order, he could put this out right now instantly and not have to deal with anybody. I mean, hell, he took down half the East Wing and didn't ask anybody. Why suddenly are the rules so important when it comes to the Epstein information? Why? And again, this isn't TDS, because I don't think he did anything wrong in that sense. But there is something stopping him from doing this. There is something that made him go from, we're going to get that information out for everybody, we're going to have full transparency, to this is a hoax, stop wasting your time on it, to nudging Cash and Bongino, go out there and tell him there's no other, so what, there's a minute missing from the prison thing. It's fine. Tell him there's nothing else there. I'm telling you, man, I have a bad feeling about all of this. I mean, all of it. Again, like I said on the other show, this is the height of my craziness. This is as Candace Owens as your old pal Aunt gets. But something is not adding up. Epstein is allowed to operate for years. Then he gets arrested. Then he gets a sweetheart deal. Then he continues to do what he's doing. And then suddenly he gets arrested during the first Trump administration. He winds up not making it out of that prison jail cell alive. We go through 4 years of a guy sleeping and auto-penning his way through everything because everybody's I'm making jokes because everybody's screaming, why didn't he put it out? Why? I don't know. And my guess is only because the stuff that has to do with Bill Clinton is just as bad and or worse than whatever Trump and his friends are involved with. And now you have Trump acting like, I'm going to put everything out for you guys. And then all of a sudden it's a hoax. I mean, it's awfully suspect if you're a Trump fan that this has been no doubt a disappointment to you every step of the way. Everybody talks about every administration. Yeah, everybody, because this isn't a political issue. This is a safety of the future of our children issue. And that's what drove me crazy about everybody defending the president, everybody calling this Democrat. Listen, the Democrats timed this out to perfection. Was it a political move? It absolutely was. It doesn't take away from the fact that a pedophile is being protected. That a pedophile that ran with the rich and powerful, with the political and the wealthy, they're all being protected. That's at the heart of this. That's what you cannot ignore. Did the Democrats mudsling last week when they put all these 20,000 documents out? Absolutely. Absolutely. Doesn't take away from the fact that there's something there. There is something there. And listen, do I believe the Bubba thing and all? No, more than likely, that's all craziness. That picture coming out and all that stuff like that. Come on. Listen, I don't put anything past anybody. I hold on and reserve judgment. But if I'm betting on it, I'm not betting on that. But I'm betting that there is something is there. And then to add insult to injury, all friggin' weekend, they're like, here's the Amelia Earhart information. Nobody gives a shit about Amelia Earhart. Stop throwing Amelia Earhart at us. Stop trying to make fetch happen. Fucking love Mean Girls. What are you, crazy? I'm not, Christella, and I'm terrified. I went on a little bit of a heater there. I am terrified at what's going on. What did I miss? I wish one of you guys could put up the comments to put all the good stuff up. I mean, I see there's a lot of cuck jokes going on. Is that an Elton John song right there? Because that's what it feels like. The cuck stuff is out of. I feel like I've lost control of the live chat. I feel like there's two shows happening: the live chat and the podcast, and they don't necessarily have one to do with the other one of them. Oh, we are changing song names. Okay, that would explain this one. And are they all just Elton John songs, or are we just going from one to the other? Looks like we're going from one to the other. I thought I saw, although there's a lot of Elton John songs coming up. Oh, I love Careless Whisper. That's a good one. Madman Across the Water was a great release. Oh, all right. Is it just Rolling Stones and Elton John? A cuck candle in the wind. Don't make jokes about that, Paul, because Meghan Markle will start selling that thing for $125. She'd be like, if you thought my $64 candles were great, wait until you hear about the cuck candle in the wind. It's going to be fantastic. All right. I feel like I got all Goodbye Yellow Brick. Wait, you want to hear? Okay, do you guys want to laugh? Crocodile Cuck is really good. Let's nominate that one. Merc's on Fire. I mean, they're all good. I feel like, oh, that's a good one. Nominated. That's Merc too. I didn't even look. I wasn't even looking. Oh, wait, hold on. Merc, I have to remove your nomination. Technically, Paul got Tiny Cucker in a split second before you did. So that one's going to go to Paul. Paul, fast fingers, my friend. Way to go, buddy. You just because you have fast fingers, you almost, you boxed out, or if I could say, you cucked out Mercury from snagging 3 nominations in a row. Let's hear it for Paul. Round of applause. That's amazing. That is amazing. Christella, we are still listening to you, and I am at least. I think you're the only one. Wait, listen to this one. Ant's like our substitute teacher. Yeah, I'm up at the top of the class just screaming my head off, and the kids are all making jokes. And you guys are all passing cuck notes back and forth. That makes sense. That plays. You know what, Paul, Robin, nominated. You join Paul and Merc in the old nominations for comments of the episode. Yeah, but anyway, I'm very uncomfortable with people that are maintaining their trust in the president of the United States when it comes to this one. He's getting this one wrong. And to turn around today and say, go ahead and release it, we have nothing to hide. Well, then what was the last 60 days all about then? What happened? What was this all about? Why didn't Mike Johnson let it go to a vote? Why didn't you at any moment, up to and including right now, why didn't you just sign an executive order to put it out? Why not? Let the courts decide. You did it for the East Wing, and I don't care. I'm not one of the people who cares. Demolish the East Wing. Cover the White House in gold ornaments for all I give a shit. I don't care. I don't care. Put Biden as an auto pen and your little President Wall of Fame. I don't care. Would I rather you be a little more classy? I would, but beggars can't be choosers. This is what the country decided. I'm for it. Doesn't bother me, any of it. What bothers me is protecting pedophiles and the powerful and wealthy that also protected him. That's what bothers me. And it bothers me even more that you campaigned on stopping this, and then you became the worst person to proliferate it. You became the biggest protector of Jeffrey Epstein in one phrase. This Epstein thing is a hoax. Give me a fucking break. The next story will tell you just how insane and crazy this Epstein thing was. Because during a House Oversight Committee meeting, when Congress was in committee session, Jeffrey Epstein was texting with Democrat U.S. Virgin Islands representative in Congress, Stacey Plaskett, information on what to say to Michael Cohen during a hearing. Credit the Washington Post for this, because in the 20,000 page document dump that the government just put out last week, this was in there. The text messages from Jeffrey Epstein to Stacey Plaskett were in there. And the Washington Post took those text messages and those the timestamps and put it to the live video footage of Plaskett and everybody else questioning Michael Cohen. And they were able to determine that Jeffrey Epstein was texting a member of the United States Congress what to say and when. And she said all of it. And yes, it was an attempt to embarrass or publicize some of the issues or problems with President Donald Trump. But it doesn't. It should scare everybody, and it should anger more people that Donald Trump called this a hoax when you go to find out that Jeffrey Epstein was playing Congress like a puppet whenever he wanted to. That's how infused he was with the leadership of our nation, because you can see him text her and say, ask about Rona. She panics because she's like, what's Rona? Is that an acronym for something? And then he writes back, that's Trump's assistant. And then she directly asks Michael Cohen about Rona and who that is and is it Trump's assistant and so on and so forth. And then Jeffrey Epstein texted her later on, good job. If that doesn't scare you, I don't know what will. That's one instance. I understand that Jeffrey Epstein lived in the U.S. Virgin Islands. That's where his island was. I understand that the two of them probably had some sort of a relationship. I mean, he probably contributed to her campaigns. I don't know any of this, but I'm assuming, allegedly, you know, I mean, they had to run into each other at some point. You're a billionaire who owns an island down there. I'm sure she knows all the billionaire island owners. And he was just texting with her. Who else was he just texting with? Who else could he give a little bit of information to that would question or change the course of what they were doing, questioning somebody, writing laws, or whatever it was? This is my point. This isn't right versus left. This guy did horrible things, and then he had the most powerful and wealthy people block and defend the horrible things he did. And now we're sitting here all this time later going, well, isn't that thing I did great? Stop paying attention to that thing. And it's like, no. That would be the root of the problem. That's like the same. I'll tell you what's the exact same thing. How do we fix our country? Our country is broken. Every politician stinks. All this stuff. Election financing. That's it. Political financing. That's how you fix it. Just one thing. One thing fixes everything. One thing fixes everything. Stop the politicians from being able to take in money from special interest groups, and suddenly you'll see a lot more fairness coming across, a lot more right and left people working together when there's not money and power involved. If you take out the financing from our politics, a lot of things will change. And not just, I'll take it out from this layer, but they'll still find a way. No. If you make it so that politicians can't take a dime from any special interest, you'll start to see a lot of things change. Because The fact that our politicians could be bought and sold by large corporations is a large majority. A lot of other problems will become a lot easier to solve if these politicians weren't so beholden to elections and the elections weren't so dependent on how much money they have. The whole thing would change. You take out the financing of political campaigns. You take out campaign financing. Everything will change. And Epstein is the same thing. Epstein is the same thing. I understand we need trade, taxes, infrastructure. I understand we have to run a country, but at the same time, you have a fungus festering underneath all of it that needs to be eradicated. And that's what's important. And that's what you can't, take out of context here. And people will say, well, he was texting a Dem. He was texting a Dem. Yeah, in this case, who else was he texting? Because if you ask me, he was texting a lot more people. And I don't think Jeffrey Epstein gave a crap about political affiliation whatsoever. I just think he was happy to pay and control whoever he could to allow him to continue in the lifestyle that he did. And not only for himself and Ghislaine, but for Prince Andrew, for Jean-Luc Brunel, and God knows how many other people that he associated with. The Bill Gates of the world, right? Bill Clinton, all the celebrities that flew on his plane for those Africa missions and everything else. None of them should be trusted. None of them. Larry Summers of Harvard. And I know it's a tough spot to put innocent people in, but at this point, what other choice does the regular average American have? What other choice? What other choice? Leon Black. Yeah, we can go up and down. We could. Jean-Luc Brunel is dead. He is dead, Miss Justice. Wasn't dead at the time. Pretty much cut from the same cloth as Jeffrey Epstein was. But no, it's all, let's make it a right versus left thing. Come on, give me a break. So tired of that stuff. Tired of it. I know, listen, I appreciate that he says now, hey, put it out. We got nothing to hide, but it's too little, too late. And I like to think of myself as a relatively sane person. I'm not saying totally sane, but relatively sane. Some of these America First people, some of the craziest parts of MAGA, they're not going to believe this. They're going to be sitting there thinking the same thing I just insinuated before. And I feel like I have a right to insinuate it. Why did this take 60 days for you to get from this is a hoax to, all right, go ahead, release. We have nothing to hide. What'd you do in those 60 days that we don't know about? What happened? Because I'll tell you another thing that the president didn't do. He certainly didn't arrange for the soft, cushy jail cell, if you could even call it that, in Texas for Ghislaine Maxwell. There's no way that happened. It is all just an utter coincidence that the Deputy Attorney General, Todd Blanche, went down there and spoke with her for 2 days. And then weeks later, suddenly we find her not in Florida at a minimum security prison, but in Texas at Club Fed, where she can come and go as she pleases. There's not even a lock on the door. That definitely didn't happen. Nothing to see here. That was all a hoax too, I bet. Club Cuck. Paul, nominated. Speaking of cuck, Eddie Murphy's got a new Netflix documentary out there. And he tells this crazy story in the documentary. I'm a little surprised by this. But I like these old Hollywood stories when you find out half these people were whacked out of their minds too. But Eddie Murphy says in the documentary that he was having his 21st birthday at Studio 54. So you know something's up. Nobody, that place, I don't even know. That place should have been burned down. There's not, bleach could not remove everything that happened in that place. That place that you just got to start over. But Eddie Murphy was having his 21st birthday party in Studio 54. An old Hollywood star, Yul Brynner, came up to him with his wife and asked if he would like to go back to their apartment with his wife and him and party. At the time, being 21, Eddie Murphy was like, nah, I'm cool. I'm going to stay here. As he got older, he realized, wait a second. Wait a minute. Who's the first person that's going to put the chair? Who's the first person that's going to put the chair emoji? Yule would have been sitting in a chair, Merc. Yule would have been sitting in a chair. That's where he was going. I mean, you practically, there you go, Paul. I mean, think about that. What a way to say, by the way, I'm no expert here, but I gotta think that's a veteran move. Do you want to go back to our apartment and party with my wife and I? Just anybody would be like, well, there's a lot of people. I just want to, it's like all my friends are, you want to like all my friends? No, just you, me, and my wife. But there's a, what? Oh. Yul Brynner wanted to watch Eddie Murphy with his wife. I mean, what other reason would there be? You know, Eddie Murphy jokes that the story would have had a better ending had he went. But he went back to partying with his pals at Studio 54. Yul Brynner died in 1985 with a battle from lung cancer. So he's not alive to defend himself, but maybe Yul like sitting in a chair next to a bed. Maybe that was his thing. I don't know if he wanted a throuple or not, Miss Justice. It's a good question. I guess we'll never know. We'll never know. How could you tell? Are there rules there where you can tell, hey, I'm just going to sit in a chair, or I'm getting in the ring too? Do you talk about that ahead of time? I'm just going to be a manager. I'm going to be outside the ring cheering you guys on. Or is this going to be, is he planning on jumping in the ring too? Because I would imagine that would make a difference to people. I would side with Eddie Murphy and decline the invitation politely. That's just too weird for me. I can't wait. There's so much. Eddie Murphy doing press has been gold. I think we've had him on. I know we talked about him last episode. Turning down Roger Rabbit was unbelievable. I feel like we talked about him an episode or two before that. It's just been great. He went on to say too that he doesn't go to Hollywood functions or anything like that. He's like, I can't stand award shows and people all fake and dressed up in suits. He's like, I'd rather be sitting at home. I'm like, hey man, start a church, Eddie Murphy. I'll be there. Pass around the basket. I'll put $1 in. You're talking about language, dude. Sitting at home in your jammies while everybody's all nervous and tuxedos and everything. That's where I'd rather be. Marjorie Taylor Greene went on Dana Bash. Wow, how things have changed. Marjorie Taylor Greene on Dana Bash. And she basically apologized. She apologized to Dana Bash for her past behavior. Dana Bash brought her on and said, and listen, this goes into, if you missed it over the weekend, we didn't do a full podcast, but did a little bit of a cut in on our social. We put the story out there that Marjorie Taylor Greene and President Trump were, tussling back and forth a little bit on social media, trading some barbs and everything else. Marjorie Taylor Greene really came at it from like a heartbroken point of view of like, she's like, I supported this guy. It's crazy that this has all come to this. Donald Trump aired that dirty laundry out there that he basically said, Marjorie came to me. She wanted to run for governor. I told her no. And now she's just trying to take me down. He called her Marjorie Taylor Brown because grass turns brown when it goes bad. Then he came back later with Marjorie Taylor Greene. That was better. Like if I'm in a joke writing room, if I'm in the writer's room with him, I'm rejecting that first one. That second one, I'm going, all right, we'll see if we can get a better one than that. But that's the one we're going to go with. Marjorie Taylor Greene is definitely better than Marjorie Taylor Brown. That's stupid. So basically, Trump is saying that Marjorie Taylor Greene has an agenda against him, which, hey, that's politics. That doesn't mean either side is wrong. It's up to us to go in there and find out which one it is, because it's going to be one of them, right? I don't doubt what the president is saying in this particular instance. I also think she could run for herself. And I also think that that's probably what she's trying to do. But I do also believe her because she's had some experience with abuse. And so have some of the other women in Congress that are fighting for this Epstein stuff. I do believe her. I do believe that you can be both at the same time. You could be pissed that he told you no to run for governor and also be against or feel like he's wrong for calling this thing a hoax, because it's not. So if she's leading the charge against him, hey, this is politics. That is what it is. You can't write off Marjorie Taylor Greene because she's got an axe to grind. All of politics is people grinding axes against each other. So Dana Bash brought her on and said, over the weekend, during the two of them trading barbs, suddenly Marjorie Taylor Greene started getting a lot of death threats. She started getting pizzas delivered to her house, which is like a sign. Like if people send pizza to your house, you don't order a pizza, they're basically telling you, I know where you live. Another form of a threat. And so she was like, it's really sad. I've been encouraged to get round-the-clock security now. And this is all because the president of the United States has launched a campaign against me that now his crazy, deranged followers are threatening my life and my family's life. And everybody in the world watching was like, yeah, what about everybody else he did that to? Well, you sat around and you cheered it on. And that's essentially how Dana Bash started the conversation between the two of them, leading into, hey, you never spoke up about this until it happened to you. What do you have to say about that, Marjorie Taylor Greene?
Dana, I think that's fair criticism. And I would like to say humbly, I'm sorry for taking part in the toxic politics. It's very bad for our country. And it's been something I've thought about a lot, especially since Charlie Kirk was assassinated, is that I'm only responsible for myself and my own words and actions. And I am committed, and I've been working on this a lot lately, to put down the knives in politics. I really just want to see people be kind to one another. And we need to figure out a new path forward that is focused on the American people, because as Americans, no matter what side of the aisle we're on, we have far more in common than we have differences. Yeah. And
never heard that before. What incredibly good-looking gentleman who hosts a podcast wearing mostly gray sweatshirts and hoodies has said that a billion times over the last 4 months. Listen, she's campaigning. I mean, it's clear as day. She wants something more, and she's campaigning. But I'll take it, because this is the truth. I mean, and I'll go to my grave on this one. There's more that brings us together than that divides us. And you look at the industries that rely on that division: cable news networks, podcasts, social media networks, keep you fired up and angry. That keeps you scrolling and clicking. Fired up and angry, scrolling and clicking. You look at this show, try and entertain and inform you. Try and be as honest as we possibly can. And look at our numbers. You look at Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, big difference there. One of those podcasts likes to fire you up and get you angry, keep you clicking and listening. The other one likes to just goof around and have a good time as they talk about the day's events. It's okay. Comfortable where I am. I like putting my head down on the pillow at night and sleeping just fine. But it's the truth. People, more brings us together than what spreads us apart. That's why I can't stand the right versus left argument anymore. You're just putting money into the pockets of people who don't give a shit about you.
We need to be able to respect each other with our disagreements.
So just to put a button on this, you regret the things that you have said and posted in the past, the Facebook post that was taken down of you in 2020 holding a gun alongside the squad, encouraging people to go on the offense against the socialists, liking a tweet of somebody calling for the execution of Nancy Pelosi and former President Obama, just examples.
Well, Dana, as you know, and many people know, I address.
She certainly had that one loaded and ready to go. Nobody can accuse Dana Bash of not being a journalist who's prepared. Not that she's preparing it herself. She's got great producers, I'm sure.
That back in 2021. And of course, I never want to cause any harm or anything bad for anyone. So that was addressed back then. And I very much stand by my words I said then. And I stand by my words today.
Listen, is she campaigning a little? Maybe. But it doesn't take away from the fact that it's nice to see a Republican on a liberal network telling the truth. And again, that should be celebrated. You know, that should be celebrated. And she's right. I mean, imagine if everybody just turned this corner and was like, let's put the weapons down a little bit and start working together again. That's all we want. By the way, nobody cares who's winning and losing because we're all losing. I hate to sound like a cheesy middle school teacher, but start working together and start getting shit done. We have enough against us with AI, the world fighting with each other, everything. There's plenty out there that'll keep us occupied if we are working together. And the fact that we're fighting with each other is only slowing down the progress that we need to be making on more important stuff. Like, what are we going to do when AI puts half of the country out of work? Because that's a conversation that needs to be happening now. Needs to be happening. We are staring at the precipice of these computers being smart. I saw the interview the other day with one of the AI guys. He's like, no, it's going to be smarter than us. How are you going to outsmart this thing? Like, it's going to figure it out and just be, focus on the Terminator 2 problem. Okay, there's plenty that just even on that issue alone, there's plenty that'll keep you occupied. We're fighting over every little thing, acting like the Epstein thing was a hoax. Good news, everybody. Here's some more Amelia Earhart information. Stop trying to make fetch happen. Anyway, I also saw on the weekend news magazine shows. I like watching those. You know me. I'm a CBS Sunday Morning guy. Then I hop right into the Face the Nation and Meet the Press. And Face the Press is going to be the one that I'm really looking forward to. When they merge those two together, it's going to be great. But Margaret Brennan had Tom Suozzi, who's a Democrat from Long Island, where Earl Palant originates from, and Don Bacon, one of Earl Palant's favorite breakfast foods. So I was naturally glued in. But they're part of the Problem Solver Caucus. And I had forgotten about this. This started in, I think, like around Trump's first presidency, where Congress felt the need to literally propose a caucus so that there would be some group of responsible adults to clean up the garbage that was happening in the rest of Congress. So they put an equal amount of Democrats and Republicans into this caucus and let them figure it out. Well, I caught the interview between Tom Suozzi and Don Bacon, and I have to tell you, it was beyond refreshing to watch a Republican and a Democrat complement each other amidst talking about healthcare, Obamacare, and the nation's healthcare system. It was unbelievable to see. This is something you're not going to watch on every other podcast, but I'm going to play the clip for you right now because it's refreshing and wonderful and nice to see, and we need to see more of it. And that's what this show is, the stuff that I think we all need to see more of. You won't find this on Tucker Carlson. Candace Owens won't touch topics like this. CNN,
pulled out of the
MSNBC,
Obamacare
Fox
marketplace
News,
this year.
none of
after
them
CBS
are going to
said
tell
they've
you, look, everybody, at the Republicans and
expected to lose as
Democrats
much as
getting along,
$400 million.
because there's no
Other big insurance companies have been pulling out.
that.
If insurance companies themselves are having problems with Obamacare,
There's no money in that sort of thing. All right, wait, hold on. Let me pop this back up on the screen for you guys. Margaret Brennan's out there trying to talk over me. The whole thing is a nightmare. Okay, here she is teeing up Tom Suozzi, and Don Bacon is on the phone. Not Don Lemon, thank goodness. And they're talking about health care. And I want you to hear the compliments and the way that Suozzi talks about Bacon.
do Democrats need to be more open to broader reforms of the Affordable Care Act?
Yeah, we absolutely should be looking at any kind of reform. I want to mend it, not end it. You know that over the past decade that there have been over 70 attempts, mainly by the Republicans, not guys like Don Bacon, who's a very reasonable guy, to try and get rid of Obamacare altogether. We think that's a terrible idea. But if people want to try and make it a better system to make healthcare more affordable in America and to get healthcare to more people, we should be doing that. That's what the people want. That's what reasonable people in Congress want. We should be working together to try and expand healthcare coverage, lower prices for everybody, and make healthcare more effective and less expensive for people. Now, that's not going to happen with everybody yelling and screaming at each other. Everybody who says, why don't you just, doesn't know what the hell they're talking about. You cannot solve complicated problems in an environment of fear and anger. You need reasonable people to sit down and talk to each other and say, I think this, well, I think that, and then work your way towards finding compromise. Very hard to do in this toxic environment. People like Don Bacon and other members of the Problem Solvers Caucus want to do that type of thing.
I mean, how...
The Obamacare market.
All right, Margaret Brennan. How refreshing is that? How refreshing is that to hear a Democrat complimenting a Republican, talking about working towards a solution? I mean, good Lord. That's the thing that's so crazy about people that get a lot of attention. Do you think we fucking care who wins, Republican or Democrat? Or do you think we want healthcare that is affordable and good? That's all we want. That's all we want. Yet we've been watching the two of you animals of a party go at each other constantly since 2009 over this. It's been 16 years of this fighting. Just make it affordable to go to the fucking doctor already. Good enough. Like at some point, don't you just go, oh, fucking, just figure it the fuck out. Just figure it out. And so hopefully smarter people like Swazi and Bacon here will have other smarter people in this caucus that can hopefully influence the rest of the loser pack of Congress and the Senate and the Oval Office and everybody else to just figure this out for people. Richest nation in the world. We can't get a decent healthcare system in place. Yeah, but the Democrats and then the Republicans. I don't fucking care. Figure it out. Just figure it out. Just figure it out. I don't care. And neither does anybody else. Because we voted for one side and it wasn't that great. Then we voted for the other side and it still wasn't that great. Then we went back to the original side and that wasn't that great. And then the other side promised to fix it and never fixed it. And I don't even know what side we're talking about. It doesn't even matter. They're both full of shit. Just figure it out. Just figure it out. So hopefully the problem solver, I almost made a shirt over the weekend when I saw this. I was like, I'm a problem solver caucus guy. I don't know. I can't remember the last time I saw such excitement in politics than this past weekend with everything that's going on. Problem Solver Caucus, Marjorie Taylor Greene's talking with Data Bash, Democrats and Republicans getting along. I mean, what's going to happen now? The blind will see and the lame will walk. I feel like that's what we're about to head into a series of miracles. You know, I keep looking up at the sky to just check and make sure the pigs aren't up there flying around. You know, it's amazing, but it's important. Credit to CBS and Margaret Brennan, who looks amazing in a blazer, always. Credit to CNN and Marjorie Taylor Greene. I'd rather hear this stuff than this is a hoax. Those people are the enemy. They started the shutdown. They solved the shutdown. They wouldn't let us have a shutdown. They let us have too much shutdown. Shut up. I don't care. Nobody does. Just do something. Just fix it already. Again, the clock is running. Between the aliens and AI, something's going on. Something's coming for us. So let's try and have a couple of years of nice healthcare and less arguing. You know, that would be nice. Before we give it all up to the aliens or robots or /alien robots. Who knows? I mean, could you imagine what the aliens AI is? If we're worried about our own and they're so far in advance of technology, we got to worry about their AI too coming over here and eating our brains. I don't know. I just wanted to do that. The tariff dividend checks. You gotta signal a good old political move when you see one. It's interesting what's happening with the president of the United States. And again, I think I've been awfully fair with that guy in the Oval Office. But he told us that tariffs wouldn't raise prices. And now that affordability seems to be a big issue, which helped determine this past election, now he's, again, we don't have time for the Epstein stuff because we got to make America affordable. And his first effort in doing that was getting rid of tariffs. But if tariffs didn't make things unaffordable, why are you getting rid of them to make them affordable? I will sit and wait for an answer. Right? All of a sudden, it's like, well, we got rid of the tariff on coffee and this and that. Well, so that you're acknowledging, what are we doing? I mean, what are we doing? And then we get the news of, and this is classic politician, classic on all sides. We're going to send it's even more unbelievable when it comes from a Republican, because I remember during Bush's administration, it was everybody, we got a surplus. Remember that? Where everybody's getting a check because there's a surplus. We're doing so good. It is surplus time. And the surplus went from like $1,500 to $1,000 to $800 to $300. I think we got a quarter. I think at the end of the day, we got a couple nickels to scratch together on that whole surplus. And then our debt went up into the kabillions, quadrillion, million, zillions. So that was one part of it. Forget the COVID stuff because that was all emergency things, and that was a tough time. Although it felt like they could have given that money straight to the people rather than the businesses to give to the people, but you know, whatever. Doesn't make a whole heck of a lot. You give it to them, so they give it to us. We don't know if they're going to keep a lot of it or not, or if they're even qualified for it. You could just give it straight line, curved line. I don't know. Anyway, now we're going to be winning so big again that there's going to be surplus checks for everybody. Yes, gray hooded, mediocre looking gentleman in the back. I thought we were paying down the national debt with that surplus. Why are we cutting checks for ourselves all of a sudden? Because we need affordability. Oh, okay. Now we have traditional Republican conservatives against big government and handouts now handing out. When are we going to get this? Well, it's going to take us some time to get together. The president of the United States in the office earlier today literally said, should be sometime before the midterms. Well, I'm sure that's just a coincidence. That can't be, that can't be intentional. Why would it be? That would make no sense. Gather up, everybody, because just before an election, we're going to cut everybody a $2,000 check. Sounds lovely. Who gets it? I don't know. Well, I don't know. I was reading today that they, again, because this is all rumors, because now the people that are responsible for this are like, well, it's just being talked about. And Trump's like, you can count on, like, get ready, everybody. Put that Tylenol down and get ready to cash this $2,000 check. They're talking about the $100,000 mark. And I know some people are going to be like, that's nothing. And a lot of people are going to be like, that's a crazy amount of money. Nobody making over 100 grand should get that. But we just did the survey of the American people who you would think 100 grand and you're rolling in the money, but that's what was 170 grand. You know, that's 100 grand is not what it used to be anymore. You have to be making 170 grand to be making what 100 grand was, considered. I forget what it was, 10, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, whatever it was, 25 years ago. It wasn't that long ago. So the 100 grand is really, people making 100 grand now are really kind of making like 70 grand. That's a big difference. Believe me, I live in New York. Between property taxes, insurance costs. I mean, it's insane what people are paying. And I talk about this all the time. I have far surpassed my father in education and income and all that stuff, yet my buying power is a fraction of what his was. It's a fraction. You know? I don't know if the 100,000 should be that breaking point. I mean, if you're making over 400,000, you are golden. If you are pulling in over 200,000, you're living very comfortably. You know, there's some households, again, that somebody's making 50, somebody's making 55 or 60. They're both slugging it out. They probably have to pay for childcare. They're paying insurance. They're paying taxes. And now they're not going to get this. I mean, these are like the people who really need it. You know? And I don't know if it's going to be household income, individual. Like they've not said any of this. The one thing they're sure of is it will arrive just before the midterms. That you can count on. And I don't know how much that really helps them, because clearly they're trying to buy some votes here. You know, the thing they accuse the other side of doing all the time, and they both do it. So I'm not here to throw shade on one or the other, but clearly they're buying votes here. But I don't know what that does to their base. Because again, we were tariffing to raise revenue to pay down national debt. Now, all of a sudden, that national debt isn't as important as much as affordability is. Well, maybe we should look at the thing that you got rid of once you found out that affordability was important, that you told us didn't raise money. And now we find out that it does, because it's the first thing you get rid of when affordability becomes an issue. What is it? Because the math isn't mathing anywhere in any of this. Final topic of the episode here. Somebody will have to explain this to me. The Moana trailer came out today, and it's about a minute long. I watched it, and the only thing running more poorly than our country, I feel, is Disney at this point, because I don't think they know what the hell they're doing over there. The parks are empty, from what I understand. Prices for there are just crazy out of control. And now they're releasing movies that are remakes of movies they released less than 10 years ago. I mean, I don't know when the first Moana came out. Maybe it was 11 years, whatever. You know what I'm saying. What's so weird about the Moana trailer, and you tell me if I'm crazy. I obviously can't play it for you. I don't need Bob Iger calling me. But go look at it for a second and then come back. I watched the Moana trailer, and it's a live action movie. So real people. But it takes place in a tropical Hawaiian whatever island, right? And there's little masked guys running around. There's like a chicken. There's all things that clearly need to be CGI and animated in it. And just like the beautiful tropical, all this. I'm watching this, and it's like, okay, here's the live action trailer from Moana. And I turn it on and I go, this isn't the right link. This looks like an animated thing. And it's like, well, yeah, because none of these places really exist. They had to make all of these places in a computer. So what am I supposed to be impressed by? That Moana's a human? I don't understand what we're doing. 90% of the movie looked exactly like the first movie. At least when they did this to the Lion King, it wasn't cartoon animals running around. It was like real animals. You look at Moana trailer, and you can't tell me the difference between the first one and this one, except for the real human girl that shows up instead of the cartoon. Like, the cartoons have become so human-like, and the human stuff has become so CGI generated that I don't know where the middle is, but I feel like it's at the Moana 2 trailer. Because I watched that whole thing and I go, there's little masky guys running around. They obviously didn't put masks on 3-year-olds and let them run around and, spit darts at people. That was generated. The mountain in the end is generated. The ocean was dancing in the trailer. That was generated. The whole thing looked like a fake animated movie. And then you have the little human girl show up at the end and sing a line. And I'm like, are we supposed to applaud over this? Is anybody going to go see this? I know Moana is huge, but the difference between the first the live action and the animated, it's like there's no difference. I don't know what they're doing, and I don't think anybody in the movie business knows what they're doing anymore. I mean, they have no idea. Last episode, we were talking about Sydney Sweeney. I found out today, Sydney Sweeney this year is the second most Googled person. I forget who was the guy, the president down in Venezuela, maybe, or Argentina. I forget who it was. One of the South American presidents was one. I feel like Epstein was up there on the list. And Sydney Sweeney was number 2 on the list. Number 2 most Googled person this year is Sydney Sweeney. She just had 3 box office flops in a row. And not like, oh, it didn't make its opening weekend numbers. One of her movies made $500,000 in the theaters. The one that just came out, that was in over 2,000 screens, made like $1 million. It was the 9th worst opening for a movie that was on more than 2,000 screens. I don't understand how somebody with that much power and intrigue isn't driving box office numbers. What do we care about Sydney Sweeney for then? Julia Roberts never had this problem. People were enamored by Julia Roberts, obsessed with Julia Roberts, thought she was beautiful, wanted to be her or be with her. And when Julia Roberts came out with a movie, everybody ran to get some of that Julia Roberts magic. Now everybody's curious about Sydney Sweeney, and it's like Sydney Sweeney has a movie coming out, and everybody's like, yeah, I think I'm busy that weekend. Is she just picking boring movies, or are we just so over Hollywood? I don't understand what's happening. The guy who did SNL over the weekend, I thought was good, the blonde haired guy. I'm not that crazy about him, but I thought he did a good job. I'm going to find his name for you. He had The Running Man coming out. That was the big movie this weekend, was the Running Man. It bombed. It was terrible. Yet Predator 11-teen, I don't even know which one this is now. They're like, oh, Predator in daylight, so you can really see how messed up his face is. That thing is done $66 million domestically and $70 million internationally. Predator has made $136 million so far. I mean, that's pretty good. At least somebody's going to see that. Running Man was the one. Made $17 million domestically and $11 million internationally. And supposedly had like $100 million movie, $1 million budget. That's before marketing. What the fuck is his name? The guy who's in that. Now I gotta look it up. He's like the next big it guy. In fact, I think he was in the movie with Sydney Sweeney that was on Netflix. That was a big deal. Like the rom-com that got everybody talking about her for the first time. Glenn Powell. That's his name. Glenn Powell was in it. These $100 million movies, they're not making anything. It's $110 million. It's pulled in $28 million so far. And people are saying, like, and this was supposed to be the big movie, like Wicked 2 is coming out next week. It's like, you're going to get trounced by Wicked 2. Like, nobody's going to see The Running Man. You know? I don't understand what's happening. All right, I'll tell you the other weird thing, which makes me think, like, this is a bizarre, I don't know what's happening in with Hollywood. It's an American thing, I think, because Now You See Me was like a magician thriller movie. It made $21 million in the United States and made $54 million internationally. That rarely, unless you have an international star who nobody cares about in America, that rarely ever happens. So again, I don't know what's going on with Hollywood, but this Sydney Sweeney thing just befuddles me to no end. Now, she had a controversy with the jeans thing that was so stupid that the left took way too far and overblew. It was dumb. Now, I'm sure that caused a lot of it, but why isn't that translating into ticket sales anymore? I mean, nothing is translating into ticket sales. I was listening to Sebastian Maniscalco because I'm an Italian American. So legally, we have to listen to him X amount of time throughout the course of the year. But he was on with one of my favorite comedians, Bert Kreischer, and they were talking about the fact that Sebastian Maniscalco made this movie with Robert De Niro. I forget what it's called, My Father or something. I don't know. Cuddles and I went to go see it. It was cute. I think we were just rooting for Sebastian so hard. I don't know if it was that brilliant or great, but when you grow up in an Italian household and you see some of those things represented on screen, it's very exciting for you. So you're like, yeah, it's pretty good. People who didn't grow up in an Italian household maybe didn't enjoy it as much. I don't know. But we liked it at the time. Thank you. So he does this movie with De Niro. It comes out in the theaters. Whatever. De Niro doesn't have the power he used to have. Then it goes to Peacock or, whatever it goes to and just middles around and does nothing. Suddenly they put it on Netflix and it becomes like the number 2 or number 7. Thank you, Robin. I'm going to nominate that for the Seinfeld reference. Well timed, my friend. He puts it on Netflix and suddenly it takes off. And it's like, it's just trending like crazy and people are recognizing him for it and all that stuff. So Bert Kreischer turns around and says to him, he goes, have you sold more tickets off of it? And Sebastian goes, no. I don't know why it's so hard for people to sell tickets. I mean, is it the 24-hour cycle? I think that's part of what it is. We're just so distracted. I also think it's the rise of podcasting, and not just podcasting, but I also think it's the rise of just people talking straight to camera on their cell phones on social media. It doesn't necessarily have to be this form. There are so many people that just pick up their phone and stare at it and say things into it that get millions of views, and they sell their t-shirts or get their ad rev share or sponsorships or whatever they're doing. And they're humming along and doing just fine. These $100 million movies are bringing in $28 million in the box office. And like, who's going to back these things anymore? And how could Sydney Sweeney be the second most Googled person and have 3 box office flops in a row? And by the way, not only Sydney Sweeney movies, but one of them was a Ron Howard directed film. It did nothing. Ron Howard directing one of the most Googled female stars who's supposed to be the it person now, supposed to be our modern day Julia Roberts. And her last 3 films combined have made less than $5 million in the box office with wide releases. What is going on? I don't even know what's happening. And it's so funny that Chris Ellis says it this way. Hollywood is going to fold drastically or drastically change. Hollywood's not even Hollywood anymore. Because all you read about is Netflix is opening a studio in Jersey. Who's got studios in Brooklyn and New York? Atlanta has become a film capital of the world. Everybody films things in Vancouver. Like, who's making anything in Hollywood anymore? And who even knows what works and what doesn't? It's weird. Crazy, psychopathic killer movies with one-word titles that you could make for like $3 million. They do huge. The old, Running Man is a brand. We'll put the big up and coming star in it. Should be great. That old formula ain't working anymore. And it's funny. We listened, and I talked about this too, of Judd Apatow saying, here's why they don't make comedies anymore, because they don't have the DVD backing. They could take a chance on a comedy because if it kind of tanked in the movie theater, they know they'd sell X amount of DVDs and they'd still come out okay. And when the DVD sales dried up, they just stopped taking chances on comedies. Fair enough. But this whole, this used to be a brand 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years ago. We'll do a remake. We'll do a film adaptation of this TV show. We'll do this popular book as a film. That should do it. That's not doing it anymore. But yet Predator 11 is working. I don't think anybody knows how to play this game. And Moana 2 is a clear instance of it, because they went from like, I don't know, we'll make our cartoons into real movies. And now they've made a real movie, a live action movie out of Moana 2 that you literally, for 95% of that trailer, cannot tell the difference between the first one, all animated, and this live action one. Like, you might as well call Moana 2 Who Framed Roger Rabbit also, because it's the same thing. It's all animation until Bob Hoskins shows up on screen, and then you're like, all right, this is crazy. What's happening here? Still can't believe Eddie Murphy turned that role down. It's criminal. It's smooth criminal, now that I think about it. Well, this was a fun one. You know what I liked most about it? No liberal crying tears. But I missed Frank to a degree. I do. When the liberal tears don't come out, I do miss it. Stop it. Also, nobody stole a salad on this episode. Not that we're aware of. Miss J. Sabs as well, too. All right. Comment of the episode. Do your research really caught me funny from Merc early on. Also, Crocodile Cuck. Tiny Cucker, which was a photo finish between Mercury and Paul. Robin's aunt is like a substitute teacher. I like because it's about me. The God Bless You was well timed, and Paul's Club Cuck. All very good. You got this one that's about me, which I like. You got this one, which is an inside joke. This is an all-timer. This had a photo finish. I don't know. We've got 10 seconds if everybody wants to vote on one of these for a comment of the episode. I will tell you this. We'll be back with you here on Wednesday, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram Live. Tell a friend who's tired of hearing right and left-wing people scream and yell at each other. All right, we're giving it to the photo finish. Paulie's got it.
Show me potato salad.
Congratulations on comment of the episode, my friend.
Maybe we should go now. Go ahead.
We'll catch you next time. Have a great, incredible, luxurious, delicious Taco Tuesday.